welcome to Talkoffamepod podcast with Kylie Montini. I'm so excited for today's conversation because she's very inspiring. She's making a difference for young girls. I'm so happy to introduce autism advocate and United Nations honoree spreading messages that spread joy and equality through arts. She's also the creator of 3 coloring books for girls of color, children's book illustrator, and former choreographer whose work is seen on BET, ABC Family, Maury Povich Show, the Apple Theater, and has trained over 100 students, and Ayanna Davis. So welcome to the podcast. We're super excited to have you and learn more about your story.
Thank you so much.
Of course. So can you tell us more about your story with autism?
Sure. I was diagnosed about 7 years ago, and I am a millennial, so that's very, very late to be diagnosed. The average age that children are usually diagnosed as autistic is about 18 months. Black children are usually diagnosed 3 years later than their white peers. So, like any adult diagnosis is very, very late.
Did you kind of feel that you had autism, or is it kind of like a total unexpected type of thing?
It was unexpected. I knew I was different, and everybody knows that I knew I was different. But I had no idea what autism was. When I heard about autism, I always thought only little white boys could be autistic. I didn't know anything about it. When I heard about it, people were always just making jokes about it and mocking autism, but I had no idea what it was.
Oh, growing up, I didn't know autistic things was either. Growing up, I was the most shy girl you probably ever meet in your life, and even when I was young, as I think about it now, I literally thought I was autistic as well, but I wasn't because based off of how shy I was, it was just am I autistic or am I not? But it's not it can be very difficult to actually get that diagnosis. So growing up being
Yeah.
autistic, it just kind of changes your perspective on things.
Yeah, like when I got diagnosed, even though I was in denial for a little while, I was like, well, everything is kind of making sense now.
It just but sometimes when you get diagnosed, you're like, okay, well, this is my unsolved answers. This is
Yeah.
it's upsetting, but also a bittersweet type of thing when you get find out that it's actually autism. But was life difficult for you once you got diagnosed with autism, or was it kind of a relief type of thing?
It actually made things 100% easier because I now knew once I accepted it, because I didn't accept it at first, but once I accepted it, you learn how to cope. You learn coping mechanisms. Since you now know the things you're dealing with, um, you learn how to cope with them. You know you're having sensory overload, so you learn how to deal with that. You learn that there are therapies and treatments for the things you've been dealing with, and you learn that there are other people going through what you've been going through, and maybe what you thought nobody else would understand. And now you had answers to people always saying, "Why are you like that? Why is she like that? What's wrong with her?" And now you had an answer like, "There's nothing wrong." And I never thought anything was wrong with me, but there's nothing wrong with me. I'm autistic, and there's nothing wrong with that.
There's just nothing wrong with being autistic because it's something you really cannot control if you're autistic. It's just something you're basically kind of not born with, but that's part of who you are as a person. It's nothing you can control, it's
Yeah.
just who you are as a person. But if people are wondering what autism is, what is kind of your definition of autism?
Well, it's like when people look it up, it says it's like some places actually say it's a mental disorder, but it's actually a neurological disorder. It's a neurotype, and you have issues with communication, and you have sensory issues. You have problems with loud sounds, and you have problems, of course, communicating. Eye contact is hard. And there are different, I don't like functioning labels, but there are different, um, some people have more care needs than others. Some people can live on their own, some people can't. But it just means that you have to navigate the world differently, and people in the world need to learn how to navigate with you and switch things up a little bit when they're dealing with you, because we're not wired like everybody else, and we can't change, but they can change a little bit just to make a little space for us.
Definitely, because like with like your support system is a big key for dealing with autistic type of things or whatever like, anything related. Is like even though like autism can be very difficult in terms of like communication skills and like loud noises and anything that relates to autism, like you need that family support to actually like pull you through, or maybe a therapist to actually help you or something. Like, did you have any like resources or anything that kind of helped you during that time?
Well, I had a therapist before I was diagnosed, but it was just like regular therapy that you go to deal
Mm,
with your emotions. So I don't feel that that was a big help. But after I was diagnosed, they really didn't give me any resources. My dad actually found all the therapies that actually helped me, which are CBT therapy, um, cognitive behavioral therapy. That's what that stands for. DBT therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy. Those are the two therapies that help me most. They may not help others, but you have to try different things and just figure out what works best for you.
definitely. Like, how has like those like treatments kind of helped you? Like when like your dad gave them to you as a resource with autism. Like, how much like did it, like help you as a person? At least like with me, like now like a lot of resources helped me growing up with anxiety and being shy. Nothing really helped. Even therapy never really helped me. But it's like what like how did those like type of tools help you?
Well, you have your good days and you have your bad days. They don't always help. Sometimes nothing helps. But on the good days, I use the workbooks also. So I try to do them every day. Some days I just can't do them. Um, but they have taught me to be mindful, which like reduced my anxiety. It kind of like cut it in half. So I think that the workbooks are a big help because you're working on them every day, and you're working on your coping mechanisms every day. You're not just, going to therapy every week and like reinforcing it. You're reinforcing it every day.
Definitely. And like, how do you like, kind of like deal with being autistic? Like, how do you kind of live every single day, kind of growing as a person after that diagnosis?
Well, I'm still me. I've always been who I am. After I got diagnosed, it just was easier to be me. I flourished more because, like I said, you learn how to cope better because you now know how to treat all the autistic traits because you now know what you're dealing with. So it just made life easier. You know what a meltdown is now. You know that you're not just crazy and having tantrums. You know you're just having a meltdown, or you know that you're having a shutdown, because I'm more of a shutdown person.
hmm Yeah, me too. Because like sometimes it's like when you just get overwhelmed, you're like, okay, well, I'm done for the day. I'm doing nothing.
Yeah.
Even though you have so much work to do in that matter of time, you're like, well, okay, well, I'm bored and I'm tired. I'm just gonna watch TV for the rest of the night, even though it's probably like I'm guessing 10 o'clock at night. That's when the days usually end for me at some points. But like that's what how much like work drains you and things drain you. Is that like when you do so much in your life in a matter of maybe 24 hours, you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna have a meltdown because I want to, you know what I mean? It's like that's just kind of like the day of like kind of the example of doing work 24/7.
Yeah, I can kind of like feel them coming on. So
Hmm.
I kind of just like ask to be left alone. And sometimes people think that that's rude, but I think it's better to sort of isolate yourself than to like blow up at everybody because then they'll really say that you're rude and they'll just start calling you crazy. But you know, you asked for the space and it wasn't given to you. So how are you gonna call me crazy when I knew I was about to have a meltdown, but you still kept being in my face?
Right? Like you don't, people do not know kind of how we're feeling until like they feel it themselves, I feel. But like you have like dealt with seizures over the course of a couple years. Like tell us kind of like more about it and like your experience with that.
Well, I hit 1 year seizure free. Actually, a couple months ago, but I just posted
Ooh.
my milestone maybe like a couple weeks ago. So I'm doing really well now. But I started having them strangely as an adult. And if I was having them as a child, they were silent. So, but it's very common for autistic people to have them because, you know, autism is neurological, seizures are neurological. So, I just feel very blessed and very grateful, to have survived so many. And, I'm happy that like the worry like is off of my family and my friends and those who love me.
Like with being having a seizure, it can definitely bring a kind of drainage to you and your family and loved ones and your friends. Because like to see someone you love going through that disease and to see someone go through that is actually just like not traumatizing, but it can like it can damage you in some way with going through that.
Well, it definitely traumatized my nieces. They witnessed it. They witnessed a couple because like in one day we were at a fashion show and like backstage it was just like one of the worst days, and that was their first time seeing it, and I just feel like I just felt so horrible even though it was like out of my control. Think it really traumatized them, so they just became very protective after. But it feels good now to know that everybody's not so worried.
Like especially with seizure three, like it's just like once I was relief, like it's just like at least I don't have to put myself and my family and loved ones through this again in the future.
Yeah,
But
hopefully they'll
like
stay away, leave me alone.
mm, hopefully, fingers crossed. But like what are like some symptoms that occurred during your seizures or before the seizures? In case like people
um
are like, yeah.
Okay. Well, I also have like fainting spells. Like I'm so lucky, but I also have I have like a terrible sense of humor when it comes to these things. Sometimes, like my dad gets mad at me because he's like, "It's not funny." But so I have fainting spells too. So, um, in my opinion, what I feel like the symptoms before you faint, for me, feel worse than before a seizure because like for me, like before a seizure, it's just like you get like this aura, and like for me, I just feel stuck, and that's like all I feel. And then I just feel when I'm trying to wake up out of it, but you can't. You just have to let it pass. But like before you faint, it's like the worst freaking feeling. But those are like the symptoms of that. But after, it feels like you got beat up or you got hit by a car and you're like your body like goes through a lot of trauma. Or if you like I you know I if you fall and you hit your face, I've hit my face, and um I've fallen down steps. So sometimes it's like when you have it you can fall and stuff like that. So those are like the worst parts. So and I know it's different with everybody. Everybody feels it differently because there are different types. So, but I'm just happy to not be dealing with that now. I don't really complain when it happens. Sometimes I don't talk about it. Like people will ask, and I'll just quickly tell them. But um, I'm just happy to not be dealing with that because I got other things to deal with and I got better things to do.
Oh yeah, because like when you're doing that, like with that horrible disease, you're like, I just want to do something fun, not deal with all these health issues and do something for myself that I need to do instead of feeling kind of like crap like for a couple of hours.
Well, I don't like being like a fall risk because like I was in the hospital and like I had like the fall risk bracelet on, and like the only other people who had the fall risk bracelet on were the senior citizens. And I was like, I don't want to wear this. I'm not a senior citizen. So that's another good thing about it.
Oh yeah. And like how do you like stay like positive with living with like a chronic illness?
I honestly don't know. I feel like when you're negative, um it takes a toll on your body, and I think you feel worse when you're negative. I feel like if you give a positive attitude, you'll feel better. Like laying around like feeling sorry for yourself, that doesn't help anything. Like me, I don't want anybody's like pity because and I don't want anybody feeling sorry for me because I don't feel sorry for myself. So I think that if you can stay positive, as positive as you can, you'll feel better.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because like even like if people feel sorry for you and stuff, it kind of like I know it's the same for everyone, but it can definitely make people feel even sorry for ourselves in the same way and make us kind of miserable in some way.
Yeah, I just feel like what is the point of feeling sorry for myself? Like I like I said, I have a terrible sense of humor when it comes to it. I'm always making jokes about it. And I really don't know why I'm like that, but I do. I laugh when I go to the doctors and my doctor laughs at me because she knows how I am. Like when I went to a specialist and their nurse, I tried to tell her that like I needed the baby needles to take my blood because my veins are really small, and she didn't listen and she blew my veins and I had all these bruises on my arm and everybody was like, "That's not funny," and yeah, they don't like when I joke about that. So I tried to not joke with it, but everybody deals with things differently in their own way.
Yeah, like I'm actually the same way. Like I'm the person that likes to like joke around and mess around in unusual situations. Like I don't know why, but it's like every situation I'm in that's like miserable, like a bad situation, I'm like, okay, well let's joke around right now. I'm okay. But like I
I don't
don't
like
know
being
why,
sad
but it's
about
like
things like that.
yeah, I people always like, oh Kylie, why do you not have situations like this? I'm like, I'm just trying to lighten up the mood. Like that's who I am. But like how do you like feel about like the inclusion, diversity in the entertainment industry? I know that's very like important to you.
I feel like it's kind of strange because I feel like they're trying, but I feel like when it comes to autism, every character that I see on TV is the same, and
Hmm.
like their autism coding characters are terrible. And I'm just like, was the writer autistic? Because it's like when you watch something and they have a supposedly autistic character, it's the same character. Like, where's the range? So
Hmm.
what like I feel like they're trying, but I also feel like they can do better.
Definitely. Like I know like with me, like growing up, I'd never kind of saw myself as a person, like I found like a role model on screen. Of course, I had millions of people in my life that I look up to, but it's like on screen, I never like found myself as a person, you know? Like because TV plays a big valid role in people's lives and how they see themselves as a person. But like how do you think that entertainment leaders and writers kind of play like, a valid role in how we see ourselves on screen?
Um, I feel like for me, it doesn't affect me that much, but I feel like children, um every child should be able to watch TV and see somebody like them, see somebody who looks like them, see somebody who acts like them. If they have a disorder, see somebody who has the same disorder as them. Adults too, but like for me, it's not that big of a deal. Like I'm a TV person, but
Mm-hmm.
I was in the dance world, I was in the theater world, so I wasn't always looking to TV for things. I just started like really watching TV like a few years ago, but I've always known shows. Like I've always like used to read like magazines, so I knew who all the big stars were and I'd read about them, but Um, it never really, I was never like really like um affected in a way that my heart was broken because I didn't see an autistic character because one, I didn't know I was autistic. Now it doesn't make me sad, but it's irritating because where's the autistic representation? I mean, I know I've
Mhm.
seen a few movies, some Christmas movies, and they had an autistic it was about an autistic little boy. What I can say that they got right was the actor who played the autistic little boy. He's autistic himself. So that was a plus, and they got that part right. They fed into some of the stereotypes in the movie, but like I said, it's a start.
Definitely is. And there still needed to be change to be done because like even with being autistic, like there's barely any people like that are actors are playing people that are actually autistic in the show or a movie or film. Because like
Yeah,
when they play like when there's autistic people in movies or shows or like short films or that type of thing, like the people, like most people, not all are autistic. Like it's just like even like when you're watching films, like you're barely seeing people that are autistic, from my experience.
yeah. I really hate when like people learn that I'm autistic and they're like, "Hey, you're autistic." I saw Rain Man. I'm like, "Okay, I'm not Rain Man. I don't act
Mhm.
like Rain Man." So that's very nice that you saw the movie. I saw the movie too, but I don't act like Rain Man.
It's good they seen the movie, but it's like when you see that person, like we're just like total opposites. Like when you see that movie, you're like, why is this person comparing me to that? Because I'm autistic. I'm not a man. I have my personality that's
I'm
like
not
that.
a
Like,
white man, so why are you telling me, "Oh, you're autistic"? I saw Rain Man. That's very nice.
it's very nice, but it's totally different from what I actually
I'm not
look
a mathematical genius. That's very nice.
like. But like, what are like some ways they can like represent disabled people?
Um, Hire more disabled writers, actors, producers, directors. I feel like you go to the source, and the source is hiring more actually autistic people.
Definitely. Like because like the more people they hire in the autistic or disabled community, the more like the roles we kind of see more on screen and around the world.
Yeah, and it'll be less offensive because I was watching The Best Man Final Chapters, which was great and wonderful, and I loved it. But they refer to ADHD as a behavioral disorder or something like that. And I'm like, it's not a behavioral disorder. So I was like, all right, well, you guys, it's nice that you were touching on the issue and the way they did it was very respectful. But that one line just like stuck in my head. I was like irritated. And I was like, I don't want to tweet about it because I don't want to bash a black film, but who did this? Who said this?
Who's the writer that wrote this? What are we doing this?
Yeah.
But like, do you think Black women get like the same and fair treatment and services as other autistic individuals, or do you think it's different?
It's a difference, definitely. I spoke to people when I first started to connect with other autistic people, mainly on TikTok. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the Black autistic people, they were telling me that they really didn't get any services when they were diagnosed. I didn't get any resources when I was diagnosed. And I spoke to some white autistic people, and they told me they were given a lot of resources. They were given guidance on what to do next, and we didn't get that. So there's definitely a difference, and it's really sad because they don't even try to hide it. So that's the audacity.
It really is. Because like every person that is diagnosed with autism or anything related with that, ADHD, etc., like no matter like your skin tone or what you look like, everyone should be treated the same exact way, no matter the gender or what you look like. Because like everyone's dealing with the exact same thing, no matter what symptoms and stuff you have. Every person deals with it differently. But like everyone is diagnosed with the same disorder. And like even though you might not be dealing with the same exact thing, everyone should be having the same treatment and have resources to help the cure.
I agree.
And like why do you think like you illustrated 16 children's books? Like tell us more about that.
Well, I actually illustrated 22 children's book, and it's it kind of started by accident. Um, I a publisher reached out to me and we actually did a calendar together. And she said, "Well, how about we do a book to match the calendar?" And then um, I was like, "Okay, sure." So then we did a book to match the calendar, and it did great. And then I got a literary agent. He was like one of the top literary agents in New York.
Ooh.
But he decided that he didn't want to do it anymore. So um, I felt after he left the literary yeah, whatever world, because I'm struggling a little bit today.
Mhm.
Um, I I didn't want to do it for a while, but then I just decided to jump back in and did it. I did 10 books with one author. Um, but it kind of didn't work out, but I still did it, so it counts.
Mhm.
And then I did 3 books. No, I did 2 books with another author, and I think we did a coloring book to match. Um, I did another book, which was like the only book I think I did that like featured all boys. I don't really like drawing boys because like you can't draw cool clothes on them. So
Mhm. Yeah.
that's like my least favorite thing to do. Two of the most recent books that I did, um, they were kind of my favorites. One is about like a little boy visiting his grandma, and it just shows like the bond between him and his grandma, which I really love. And then one is about teaching little girls to love their skin tone. So I enjoy doing it because art has always been my escape. So being able to bring others' words to life while also escaping, I don't think there's a better combination.
Definitely. I don't think there's anything better. Like those like stories actually feel like so inspiring. I definitely need to check those out because I'm like really attached to it. And like those are pretty amazing. Like how long like does it usually take for you to take like illustrate and stuff a book or write a book?
Um, well, it depends. Like if I'm working with an author and I kind of I like doing my own thing because there's no pressure or no deadline. But if I'm working with an author and they give me like a deadline, and then I have to have it finished by the deadline, which is kind of like why when I did the 10 books, I didn't enjoy it because it was like a deadline and pressure, and
Hmm.
it just wasn't a good experience. But um, like the last 2 authors that I worked with, they were amazing. Like they gave me like creative freedom and they didn't put pressure on me. They didn't rush me. We had a deadline, but they didn't like give me like a 2 week deadline. Like we had time. We communicated. They were respectful. If they didn't like something, they weren't like, I don't like this. They were just like, can we try it this way? So Renita Pagan and Shayla Reeves Selby, 2 amazing authors, 2 amazing young authors.
That's so amazing. Good. Like with me, like it's like whenever I have a deadline, I'm so stressed. Like with not having a deadline, it just makes things more easier for you.
Yeah, it like puts a lot of pressure on me, gives me anxiety. So like whenever there's like a deadline involved, I'm probably like, I'm not gonna really enjoy this.
Yeah, it's the same here. Because if it's a deadline, I'm like, okay, well, this is pointless. I know I'm gonna stress. How am I supposed to do this during, you know? Like, how am I supposed to like kind of bring my experience to this book if there's a deadline? Because I'll feel rushed. And like you were the creator of 3 coloring books for girls of color. Like, how do these like coloring books help like the girls of color?
Well, it's actually 4 now, but I believe it helps because, like the latest one, which is the only one still in print, We Are Magical. I created that one because I didn't see enough images of little black and brown girls. So I created that book so they can see, positive images of self. Everybody deserves to see positive images of self. So that's why I decided to create that coloring book. And, they can color it any way they want. They can color it their skin tone. They can color the clothes the way they like. colors they love. They don't have to match and it'll still be wonderful and it'll still be magical.
Oh yeah, because like like when you dress the way you want to be dressed and look like, it just feels like brings more confidence into that little girl for their eyes. And
Yeah.
you are a former choreographer who has been seen on BET, ABC Family, Maury Povich Show, the Opera Theater, and has trained over 100 students. Like, what dance or dancer was kind of like the most memorable to you?
The most memorable, hmm, I would say the Apollo Theater in Harlem because there's
Hmm.
so much culture involved. And the Apollo Theater also made me an award-winning choreographer, so that would be
Ooh.
the most memorable.
Oh, that definitely is memorable. Like, you feel like I want to award for that thing, I'd be like, okay, well, this is the best dance I ever did. Like, I never, like, don't, nothing's gonna replace it, no matter how big the theater is. You
Yeah,
know,
and the theater is legendary. It's in Harlem, and Harlem holds so much history. So it
oh
was an
yeah.
amazing experience.
Like, if you could meet anyone in the world, who would it be? A celeb, like a living or dead?
Oh, there are so many people. There are so many artists, and I love so many people's artistry. But today, I would say Ava DuVernay.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's definitely a good one. And like, what is like a common mistake you see when dancers make when dancing a choreography? This guy kind of goes back to like the dancing question.
I don't see mistakes because I feel like they all make it their own. So, and I feel like with art, there's no mistakes in art and you can't do anything wrong with art. This It's
That
expression. There's no wrong way to express yourself as long as you're not hurting anyone.
Like art is like the only way to like not the only way, what am I saying? But like art is like a huge way to kind of express yourself as a person. Like I'm a dancer and like that's like a huge way for me to kind of let go of things I'm going through and just dance it out. Like whenever I'm upset or stressed or having a long day, like I just put on music, whether it's like hip hop, country, or even TikTok. I love TikTok as well. I know it's a big part in everyone, especially the last couple of years in COVID. But like when I turn on music, I just like forget what's happening and just live myself out like nothing ever happened. And like, what is like the some advice for people that are dealing with autism? And that's the last one I have for you.
Advice that I have for people who are autistic, make sure you remain yourself. If you're having a hard time, try to find things that bring you joy and then make sure you do those things. Try to find a therapy that helps you. It might take a while. Like you might have to do like 10 different therapies before you find one that helps you. You might need more than one that helps you. You know, I do CBT and DBT, and then I still have just the regular therapist that you express your emotions to.
Yeah.
So, I would just say, do what um makes you feel like your authentic self. Don't let anybody change you. If people Stay away from people who don't make you feel good, stay away from people who don't make you feel worthy, stay away from people who make you feel like you're a weirdo, and protect your peace.
Well said. That is so well said. I totally agree what you said. And like thank you so much for coming on. You're seriously amazing and I'm so
Thank
inspired
you.
by your story and I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you taking your time. Thank you everyone for listening to this podcast. Everyone go check her out. She's amazing. And where can people find you on social media if they want to connect with you?
It's phenomenally autistic across every platform.
Amazing. Everyone go check her out. Thank you for listening. Make sure to subscribe and like and follow me on social media in the description. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening and thank you again for joining. I really appreciate it. And have a great rest of your day.